In the heart of a bustling American city, there was a CEO named David Reynolds. Unlike the typical image of a corporate leader, David preferred simple attire over flashy suits and expensive watches. He believed that true leadership came from understanding the lives of everyday people. He spent long nights poring over customer feedback on his bank's website, discovering a troubling pattern: low-income customers and those facing hardships often received the worst treatment. David was deeply troubled by these findings. He wondered if the culture at his bank had changed without his knowledge. Driven by a desire to uncover the truth, he devised a bold plan. He would go undercover as a homeless man to see firsthand how his bank treated those in need. The next morning, he rummaged through his closet, pulling out worn clothes from his college days, and set out for the nearest branch of Skyline Bank. As he approached the gleaming glass doors of the bank, anxiety gripped him. The lobby was filled with well-dressed customers lounging comfortably, sipping coffee and checking their phones. David's heart raced when a security guard locked eyes with him. "Can I help you?" the guard asked, his voice tinged with suspicion. David mustered a timid smile. "I'd like to open an account," he replied softly, pulling out a crumpled $20 bill from his pocket. The guard eyed him skeptically, gesturing toward a service counter at the far end of the lobby. Shuffling across the polished marble floor, David reached the counter, where a young teller named Lisa greeted him with a hesitant smile. "How can I assist you today?" she asked, scanning his disheveled appearance. "I want to open a checking account," David repeated, placing the crumpled bill on the counter. "I've been out of work for a while." He shrugged slightly, trying to convey his vulnerability. Lisa's expression faltered as she glanced at the bill, uncertain of how to proceed. "Do you have a photo ID?" she asked. David handed her an old driver's license, the address outdated and from a modest apartment he had lived in years ago. Before Lisa could respond, a tall man in a sharply tailored suit appeared behind her. His name tag read, "Rick Thompson, branch manager." "What's going on here?" Rick demanded, eyeing David with disdain. Lisa explained the situation, but Rick quickly snatched the ID from her hand. "We have minimum deposit requirements," he snapped, his voice loud enough for other customers to hear. "Do you even have enough funds? Our basic checking needs at least $100. David felt a rush of embarrassment wash over him. "I only have $20 now, but I can deposit more later," he pleaded. "That won't work," Rick retorted dismissively, his thumb pointing toward the door. "If you don't have the minimum deposit, there's nothing we can do." A wave of shame washed over David, and he collected his bill and ID, noticing a teenager at the edge of the lobby filming the encounter. Heart pounding, he stepped outside into the chilly air. This was how they treated someone in need, he thought, feeling a mix of anger and disappointment. Unbeknownst to him, the teenager quickly posted the video online, and within minutes, it began to spread on social media under titles like, "Homeless Man Humiliated at Skyline Bank." David, unaware of the brewing storm, decided to visit 2 more branches to gather evidence of whether this harsh treatment was widespread or just an isolated incident. He boarded a bus to the next branch, determined to uncover the truth. As he settled into his seat, he reflected on the first branch's coldness. It was a stark reminder of how society often treated those who appeared less fortunate. When he arrived at the second branch, a smaller location with fewer customers, he hesitated before entering. Inside, a young teller with bright blue hair greeted him warmly. "Good morning. How can I help you?" she asked with a cheerful smile. David was taken aback by her friendliness. "I'd like to open a checking account," he said, placing the same battered $20 bill on the counter. She glanced at the bill, but her smile remained. "We usually have a $100 minimum deposit, but let me see if there's a promotional account available that might allow you to open one for less." Just as hope flickered within David, a middle-aged man in a suit approached, his expression annoyed. "May I speak with you for a moment?" he asked the teller curtly, leading her away to a corner of the lobby. David stood quietly, watching as they spoke in hushed tones. He caught snippets of their conversation, which included phrases like minimum deposit and call security. When the teller returned, her demeanor had changed, and she apologized, stating, "I'm sorry, but our system can't process such a low starting balance." Defeated, David stepped away from the counter, shoulders slumped. As he exited, he noticed another customer recording the interaction on their phone. The feeling of being scrutinized was overwhelming. Frustrated and disheartened, David wandered a few blocks, pondering his next steps. He pulled out his phone and saw multiple missed calls from Sarah, his personal assistant. Finding a quiet alley, he answered. "David. Where are you? The office is in chaos." Sarah exclaimed, her voice trembling. "What do you mean?" he asked, a sense of dread creeping in. "It's all over social media," she continued. "People are sharing videos of a homeless man getting turned away at 2 of our branches. The backlash is exploding. TV stations are calling for a statement." David closed his eyes, realizing the gravity of the situation. "That homeless man is me," he said softly. "I know," Sarah replied. "But the board doesn't. They're demanding answers. Some executives think the footage was staged by activists targeting our brand." Determined, David replied, "I'm collecting more evidence today. I need a complete picture." With that, he headed to a third branch, the urgency of the situation weighing heavily on him. Arriving at the suburban location, he felt a mix of dread and resolve. This time, a friendly older woman greeted him as he approached the counter. "Good morning. How can I help you?" she asked, adjusting her glasses. "I'd like to open a checking account," David said, sliding the same $20 bill across the counter. Her smile faltered as she informed him of the $100 minimum. "But maybe I can help. Is that all you have right now?" David nodded. "It's all I can spare," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. She began typing, searching for alternatives, but her expression quickly fell. "I'm sorry, our manager must have changed something. We no longer have any low balance accounts." Just then, a tall woman in a crisp suit approached, her demeanor cold and authoritative. "What's going on here?" she demanded. The teller hesitated, explaining that she was checking for a program David might qualify for. The manager cut her off, stating firmly, "If he can't meet the standard deposit, he doesn't qualify. You'll have to take your business elsewhere." Feeling a surge of anger and disappointment, David nodded quietly and turned to leave. Outside, he slumped against a tree, grappling with the reality of how his bank treated those in need. Once again, his phone vibrated with a call from Sarah. "David, the videos are going viral. We're getting calls from morning talk shows. Everyone wants to know why Skyline Bank is treating homeless people so callously." David sighed heavily. "I just saw a third branch treat me the same way. There's no help, no compassion. It's definitely a systemic issue." "Then you need to come back right now," Sarah urged. "The board demands a crisis meeting this afternoon." As David hopped on a bus back to corporate headquarters, he felt a mix of emotions: anger at the bank's coldness, guilt for letting things escalate, and a determination to enact change. When he arrived, he received scornful stares from security, but they quickly recognized him and stood aside. David entered the executive elevator, taking a moment to gather his thoughts. He knew he had to confront the board about the failures he had witnessed. Stepping into the boardroom, he was met with shocked expressions. "David, what on earth?" the chairman stammered, struggling to comprehend his appearance. "I'm sure you've seen the videos," David said, his voice steady. "The homeless man turned away at our branches was me. I went undercover to see how our employees treat those in need." A wave of shock rippled through the room. "You could have asked for a compliance report," one board member protested. "Reports aren't enough," David replied firmly. "I saw firsthand the humiliation our customers face. We're failing them. The tension in the room thickened as one of the managers from the first branch entered, looking furious and confused. "What's going on?" he demanded, but his expression shifted to shock as he recognized David. David addressed him directly. "You treated me like I was worthless. You didn't even try to help." "I was following protocol," the manager stammered. "I'm looking for empathy and solutions," David countered. "We need to change our approach." The board members exchanged uneasy glances. David continued, "Effective immediately, we're bringing back zero minimum checking accounts. We'll launch a program for customers facing financial hardship, including crisis loans and waived fees." Some board members looked worried about the costs, but others nodded in agreement. David pressed on, "We'll train all employees on empathy and inclusivity. No more lip service to our community values, we must live them." Bianca, his assistant, finally spoke up. "We can't undo what happened, but we can do better starting today." One by one, the board members voiced their support for the changes. David felt a surge of hope. This crisis could be the catalyst for real transformation at Skyline Bank. As he looked out the window at the city below, David envisioned a future where everyone, regardless of their circumstances, would be treated with dignity. With newfound determination, he turned to the board, ready to rebuild Skyline Bank into the institution it was meant to be.